Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. Today I want to talk to you about everything that I have been crocheting in the last little bit. So I'm kind of trying to be in this rhythm of reporting instead of once a week like I used to. Reporting once a month. So as of today, day of recording is actually March 4th, 2025. So y'all are seeing this much later. So it may be that I'm repeating some things that I've already referenced. You know, sometimes I do these videos out of order depending on just what my schedule might be. But I like to say, I just want to report on the things that I've been crocheting really in the month of February 2025. So as of right now, I have one main work in progress. And then I have like a big blanket project that I keep saying in all of these videos that I will eventually report on it. But I do want to do that whole big video showing like start to finish on it. Anyway, that's going on in the background. But in general, I have been trying to kind of finish up things and not start anything really new because I am participating with several good YouTube friends in a shawl swap. So that is actually going to be due at the end of this month, at the end of March. So I don't want to have anything on the docket. I need to go yarn shopping for my swap partner, and I already have a pattern picked out, but I want to make sure that I have plenty of time to finish that shawl. So that's why I only have one thing on the docket right now. One project that's a work in progress. That is one of my favorite hats. Y'all, it's a Seafarer's beanie, Seafarer's crochet cap, Beth Hall design. Y'all, I've referenced this so many times. I've made this hat so many times. It does take a long time just because it's a lot of slip stitches. Y'all, I was at the coffee shop today and my child spilled a little bit. So this one will have a little coffee aroma, but it is, I think this is a Plymouth yarn, a superwash wool. I am doing it with a 6.0 millimeter hook. It's a worsted weight yarn. I think the color is like teal or something like that. It's a beautiful color. And I actually have a hat out of this already, but it's one where I did not do the short rows at the crown of it, and so it doesn't fit quite right. This was a hank that I knew I wanted to eventually make into a hat, and at one of those points where I was like, I don't know what to work on right now, I was just like, I know I'm going to make this yarn into this hat, might as well start it. So that is my really only main work in progress. I do have 3 other projects that I do want to start. One of them is a gorgeous cowl using some yarn that I got last year at the Middle Tennessee Fiber Festival. I can have that video linked below. That would be the 2024 video. But as I record, I'm looking forward to actually going to the Middle Tennessee Fiber Festival again. So by the time you're seeing this, that video should already be available, and I'll have that linked below as well. Who knows, maybe there will have to be a playlist of Middle Tennessee Fiber Festivals. Yay, it is amazing to do this year after year. Anyway, excited about that, wanting to work on a project with yarn that I actually bought from there last year before I go out and acquire more. So that's one project I want to start, that cowl. I also want to start a top using some yarn from Joann's. So let me just show you that real quick. Y'all, Joann's, the tragedy, the sadness. I did go out and say goodbye, right? I had my time and I'm actually not going to go back. And here's why. The discounts that they start with is 25% off. In fact, when I went and bought this yarn, it was right after Joann's announced their first round of closings. And of course, since then, we know that they're all closing. But they are not giving their best discounts originally. But we yarny people know, right? Like, we're going to get in there and we need to probably get the good stuff while it's only 25% off, because once it's gone, it's gone. And that's what I ended up doing. So I actually went in the middle of February to get this yarn, and it is 3 balls of K&C Superwash Wool Luxe. And this is the color Aquatic Awe. Like, aw, that's so sweet. Or aw, that's awesome. I'm in awe of the aquatic color here. This color is kind of bright, but it is kind of that aqua blue as well. It's one I was trying to be really strategic about buying, and I thought this one would work really well with my skin tone. I am trying to only acquire yarns that really not just attract my eye, but will look good on me when I make projects out of them. So this I think is going to fit that bill. I love that it is slightly deep to lighter. It's a good kind of greeny blue teal. I think it's really beautiful. And I already have a pattern picked out for what I'm going to work up with this. I got 3 of them. This wasn't the best deal. I ended up spending $11.25 or so per hank of these, or per ball. So closer to like little yarn shop prices to be honest, but knowing that they were going out of business, if I didn't grab them then someone else would. They wouldn't be restocking anything like that. So that's why I went ahead and bit the bullet and got these. So this is my goodbye Joann's purchase. It is what it is, y'all. We're still kind of waiting to see what happens. I am going to keep an eye on Ollie's or like Bargain Hunt or any of those kind of wholesale clear out places that like when things don't sell, they'll get sold off in bulk. Like we'll see what happens there. But I know places like Ollie's at one point had like tons of Ogos, for example. So maybe after Joann's gets liquidated, maybe Ollie's will be a place to go and stock up there. We'll just see. I'm kind of watching how things play out, but not planning on going back to Joann's, not to any of the ones in the Nashville area. This is my goodbye, and I'm satisfied with that. So, you heard a little ping ping. That's my size G crochet hook that I'm planning on using with this yarn because it will be a solid piece that I don't want to wear anything underneath. So I need kind of like a smaller hook despite a tight tension. So I have the cowl I want to make. There's a top I want to make. I also do want to get started on another cardigan because I actually finished one of my cardigans. I said I was going to try to finish it February, and indeed I did. I based this cardigan off of the Aria cardigan pattern by Grace for the Frills. And it is this navy blue linen stitch. The sleeves are a bit long because that linen stitch, it tends to really stretch out. But this is a cardigan that I did finish. I sewed on the buttons the last day of February. So I actually did finish it. I made it out of a Knit Picks cotton. This is DK weight Memento. I used a size H hook, a 5.0 millimeter hook. This is 116 yards to 50 grams. It says it's a DK weight, but I think it could also maybe behave almost as like a lighter worsted weight. It's not the bulkiest cotton cardigan that I've ever made, but it isn't super fine either. So I think it'll be a good kind of transition piece. It does have a little bit of heft to it. Do I like how it turned out? Yes, I do. I did end up putting 5 buttons rather than 4 just because of the size of my buttons that I had. I did another few modifications, just making this band here a little bit bigger. Now that I have it, I think if I were to do this again, I would probably not make the decreases so severe here because I feel like if the edging or the shoulders ended a little bit further in, it might fit me a little bit more. So that's an experience that I'm going to take into consideration as I make the next cardigan because I have 3 more that I want to make. And we will see. Hopefully I'll get started on one of those pretty soon. I did just see at time of filming that Crystal over at Bag-O-Day dropped another cardigan crochet pattern. So I'd like to kind of look at that, see what those requirements are yarn-wise, and see if I could make something happen. I would love to kind of get some different ideas other than things like the moss stitch or herringbone double crochet or extended single crochet. Like there's so many great stitches that you can use in something more solid like a cardigan. And Crystal is really good at kind of pushing me outside my boundaries and getting me to think about things in new ways. So maybe I'll make something based on her patterns in the future. But in the meantime, this one is done. It is an absolute finish. It's a win. I do like that I have the cuffs made in such a way that I can roll them up. And then typically, like I need my forearms free. I am pretty active. I'm cooking a lot. I need to make sure that I'm not going to get things messy. So I tend to, even though I need some warmth, I'll pull it down, but I need to be able to push my sleeves up and have them stay up pretty consistently. I don't like having things that are really loosey-goosey because then I'm going to open the oven, I'm going to lean over, and something's going to get caught in the oven or caught on fire, and then it's just not even worth it. So I do like that this cardigan is more fitted, and at this point, I'm sure I've dropped in some pictures of it. If not, here they are. And yeah, I'm really glad that I did kind of push myself to get that finished. Thank you again to my friend Rena over at Snailworks Crochet for the whole idea of Finish It February. Y'all, I've been kind of in my own world. There's not a whole lot that I'm able to catch up with in terms of YouTube-y friends. So just a general thought, like if you have a YouTube channel, if I follow you and I haven't been commenting, it's just because life is pretty busy right now. It's about to get busier, yay. So no disrespect, nothing wrong or sad or whatever. There isn't time in the day for getting to spend, all this time with my YouTube friends either. So thank you so much for your grace. That's done. All right, other things that are done. I made a starlight basket based on TL Yarn Crafts pattern. This I use in the bathroom, and it just holds some of these little face scrubbies. I think these are like Sakura face scrubbies by KAME Crochet. I'll have that linked as with all the other patterns. This is definitely a bigger size, or maybe an awkward size, but I made it by holding two together of a worsted cotton. It's a Hobby Lobby, I think Crafter's Secret brand, and those were just some clearance yarns that I picked up. Anyway, it doesn't have to be super pretty. It's functional. It sits in the bathroom and it does what it's supposed to do. It holds my little scrubbies. But I did like the pattern. I think for a basket, it was pretty neat. I like that it's a combination of the waistcoat stitch and single crochet in the back loops only. So well done on that design, Miss TL Yarn Crafts. So I think that was the only holdover from the last time I did one of these videos. Since then, I've completed a couple more things. Number one, this was just on a whim. I saw the design for the red clover shawl and I thought, you know what, I think I have the perfect yarn for just a simple, straightforward kind of neckerchief scarf shawl pattern. And indeed I did. I decided to use some of my Georgian Rose Knaresborough, beautiful, beautiful yarn. This is the standard sock 100 grams. It's like a fingering weight yarn. And here is how it worked up. Now this did not have a color name, but it's so, so beautiful. I did block this quite a bit, and you can see how it's very autumnal. Yeah, this was a really straightforward pattern. I liked it a lot more. Well, I expected to like it when I started it, but it really did turn out quite sweet. I think I might have to make another one of these just as like a pretty straightforward little scarf kind of shawl situation, maybe a shawlette. Sadly, I don't think that these colors are going to be my best right now, but I am going to hang on to it for a bit. In terms of being a one skein project, I think it fit the bill. It was a beautiful piece to work on that I didn't have to think too much of. I didn't have to go back and reference the pattern multiple times. Once I got the hang of it, I could just go and go and go. And you see that it's just lacy enough, just interesting enough to kind of keep your interest as you're going along. And then at its widest, it's not that wide. I say that. Let's see, where's the end of it? Yeah, maybe 3 feet total at its widest, but it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. Like it didn't feel like each row was taking forever and ever. Unlike some shawls where like by the time you're at the end, your rows are just so, so long and they're eating up so much yarn. The beautiful thing about this one too was I only had just a tiny little ball of the yarn left, so it did really use up most of the yarn, which I love. I didn't really have much to throw into my scraps, which I then kind of add into when I'm stuffing amigurumi. So happy, happy, happy with how that turned out. Beautiful rhythmic pattern. And I do think that the idea of red clover worked really well with this colorway, with all of these kind of autumnal colors with the bright red and with that deep green, and how those yellows and aquas kind of play into that. Like from afar, it kind of has that clover field feel to it. So I think it was a beautiful match of yarn and design. Glad to have this done. I am not sure what will happen with it. I don't know if I'll wear it. I don't know if I will gift it. I don't know if I will donate it, but again, this was a yarn that my friend brought me from her time in England, and it is such a beautiful gift, and I'm so thankful that I got to work it up and really do that yarn justice. As I mentioned before, I have been busily working on my pop-up flower, sunflower, whatever you want to call it, this blanket. That has taken a bit of my crochet time, but it's also been a joy because as I'm doing smaller projects with smaller hooks, like for example, this shawl was using a size D hook, pretty small. So using a 5.5 millimeter hook is really nice to kind of break up what my hands are doing. So we are at a good place with these. I think I'm going to get to start putting my blanket together soon. I need to refresh my memory on join as you go, but just know that that is happening in the background as well. Another thing that I'm not going to show you here, but something that I do have a few pictures of, is a special request from one of my children. And this particular child tends to request lots of special things, and so they have acquired lots of special things. So I made this child a pet net. I did not follow a pattern for this, but I kind of ended up just doing like almost like a granny square shawl, but instead of doing 3 double crochets in every space, I just did 2. So it kind of ended up being like a little mesh situation. It's just a triangle. And then I ended up single crocheting around the edges and making little hanging loops for them. So I'm going to drop in some pictures here of the pet net all filled up. I didn't really get a picture of it before all of the animals were meticulously arranged. But maybe if you look closely, you can see some previous projects in there, some a lot older than others, and you can get a sense for the joy of this particular child who really has a love for cute things and has a love for arranging things just so. The yarn that I used for that was a Hobby Lobby clearance color. It was Harvest Hues of I Love This Cotton, and I think I used like a 4.5 millimeter hook on it. I used something quite a bit smaller than what's recommended just because I wanted it to be pretty tight and to be pretty compact. Some of the animals that go into the pet net are kind of small, and I didn't want anyone slipping through the net. So that was a finish. It didn't take me all that long, but it was a very important special request. And so especially once like this cardigan was done, I wanted to make sure to follow up on some of those. The last thing that I have made recently is something inspired by my friend Litza over at Coco's Crochet. And from time to time, she has been doing something this year about the best dressed 18-inch doll. Now, last month, I mentioned that I had an American Girl doll, an 18-inch doll, and one of the things I had made was a small version of a blanket, hoping it would be like a little square shawl or scarf. Didn't end up that way, but I thought it was the perfect size blanket for my doll. Then I was getting into that doll trunk again when I was looking for some Joann's fabrics and just thinking about my history with Joann's. So then I thought, you know what? My doll could use a beanie. So I decided to make a beanie for her. This is just a modification of my corner to corner beanie for my Felicity. Now she's not wearing her standard dress. This is actually, I think, a Raggedy Andy outfit that my mother made back when she was making lots of Raggedy Anns and Raggedy Andys. Gives you a little sense of my age if you don't know already. But I thought that using this beautiful green yarn, this is from Hirschner's. I think it's one of their I think it's a superwash wool, but it's definitely not a merino. I had a scrap of this left, and in fact, my husband has a hat I made out of this that he's adopted as his. He just loves it. And it looks great on him because his hair is about this color. It's kind of an auburny blonde. Anyway, just finished making that up for my Felicity doll. It really brings out the green in her eyes. And yeah, so now my crochet journey is represented with her to a greater degree. So she's going to go back in the little cedar trunk and await the next time that she needs to come out and say hi to the world. But I am keeping an eye on the whole best dressed 18-inch doll thing, and I have that in the back of my mind. I don't know if I'll be able to participate in the future, but do just know that you have inspired me in whatever little way that might be. So thank you for that. Y'all, it is such a joy to be part of this community. It is such a joy to have inspiration from various YouTubers, people who have been on the scene for a long time, people who have been on the scene just a few little months or so, and everything in between, y'all. What I love so much is being able to share my heart of crochet, getting to connect with y'all, and getting to share things that I'm really excited about. Oh, that being said, I almost forgot what I'm wearing on my head. Okay, so this is a design I've been working on and trying to make sure I get it just right. I finished this last night and I thought, okay, I need to work with some colors that might bring out like the aqua colors, the blues and the greens in my eyes. So I finally finished it. This is a version of a little neck scarf that I had made before. Now this one, actually, the yarn is kind of scratchy. It's kind of a blend of some wool and cotton. And even as I was working with it, I found some little scratchy fibers within it. So I was kind of pulling those out. Oh man, that's really cute though. But I finished this last night, and if I get some time, I feel a lot more confident in this design, having done it now like 3 or 4 times. And it's doing what I want it to do. And what I want it to do is to have a nice kind of symmetry. So when you hold it together, it's not drastically different, right? I want it to have kind of a point in the middle. It doesn't have to be an extreme one, but just I want it generally symmetrical. When I was working with this before in a couple of other ways, it wasn't perfectly symmetrical, which is totally fine, but it was just kind of bothering me. So I tried it a few other ways, and I have come up with this. So y'all, I'm hoping that I will finally be able to record something of a tutorial for this design. It's such a small thing, y'all, but I love, as you've seen, wearing it kind of as like a little headscarf going on, or wearing it as like a neckerchief. I think it's a great way to have a couple of pops of colors. And this design too doesn't require a whole lot of yarn, so it's a great kind of scrap buster, and it's super cute. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm not going to be able to get it back on the way I had it. I'll have to get out a mirror here in a minute. And my hair is just going to be wild and wonderful, and that's okay, because that's how we roll, right? We got to keep it real. Life is too busy to try to pretty it up to the extent that you're not even yourself anymore. With that said, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I do appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who hangs out in the comments with me. Thank you to everyone who goes back through and finds me and then rewatches old content. Thank you to those of you who like the video, who subscribe, who share, or who just in whatever way is encouraging in this YouTube-y adventure that we're on. I really do appreciate being part of your life. It's not something I take for granted. I do hope that you enjoy our time together as much as I do. If for whatever reason I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. And even if I am your cup of tea, thank you for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.